Hello my quilting friends, my name is Leah Day and I am quilting a new free motion quilting design today called Foursquare. So this starts out by breaking your quilting space into 4 pieces, and this can be symmetrical. You can measure it, mark it, make it exact, or it can be funky and completely asymmetrical. It's entirely up to you. So this is a foundational design, which means that we set the foundation with those lines, and then now all we're going to do is fill in those spaces. And a fun way that I've decided to fill in these spaces is with internal echoes. So when we think of echoing, you want to just think about stitching lines parallel and evenly spaced distance apart. And this is going to be a great design to practice echo quilting and a little travel stitching too. So you can see I'm just working my way back and forth, stitching down, stitching over, travel stitch up, and I'm trying to maintain that consistent spacing. So a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch apart. I think that looks really nice, at least on this little square. And also notice that my lines are imperfect. They're a little wobbly bobbly. That is freehand, free motion quilting. If we want absolutely perfect lines, absolute perfect spacing, we're going to need to pick up a different technique such as ruler quilting. You know, grab a slice or a ditcher ruler or switch to our walking foot. But I can tell you, all of those techniques, all of those different forms of quilting, they add time. And look how fast I'm filling this space. I got my foot down, I'm running the machine kind of fast, I'm moving my hands kind of slow, and I love how this is turning out. So I'm just going to fill in all of these squares with these back and forth echoes. And here is a picture of what my Foursquare looks like when I finished it. Alright, so now it's time to fill our Foursquare with our lines, back and forth straight lines. And I mentioned before, it's a little challenging to do straight lines on a long arm. Now, I'm also aiming for even spacing, which is why I have put my ruler foot back on the long arm. I am not going to use rulers. I played with that a little bit up here and I ended up making a mistake with that design because I was just distracted with the ruler in my hand and kind of forgot what I was doing. So I really think that this looks good, just freehand quilting it. And I'm just focusing on running the long arm in nice straight movements. So either straight away from me, straight to one side, straight down, straight to one side, straight towards me. And as long as I focus on just running the long arm as straight as possible, notice how straight my lines are ending up. I think it's really easy. That's a really, really simple way, just focusing on the hand movement specifically. So once I finish one corner, I'm going to travel stitch, and I can't see my needle. I'm using the perfect ruler foot. Comes in our perfect ruler quilting kit, and it has a little bit of a tighter area right around the needle because it has a ball bearing here. It really spins nicely, so you can put more pressure down on your ruler base. The downside is you can't see your needle as well and where your needle is heading, so kind of eyeballing it here, but I'm really pleased with how this is coming out. Very, very quick and simple. So where will this design work best? Clearly you can stitch it in blocks. We stitch it in a block on a home sewing machine. We stitch in a block here on the long arm, and that's going to work great. I think that this design could work as an all-over quilting design. It is going to be a little tricky to apply it on a long arm because we've got these direction changes, and you have a limitation of how much quilting space vertically you have dependent upon the size of your long arm. So I thought about this a little bit, and as crazy it might seem, this design all over quilting style, if you wanted to take it and cover an entire quilt with it like a baby quilt, I think actually walking foot quilting would probably be the easiest way. Now, not the speediest way, certainly. It's going to be a little slow, but I think it would be the easiest way to stitch all of these straight lines with all over quilting style. That's taking one design and stitching all over the quilt and covering the entire quilt with this texture. Now the reason I think that would work okay and be a good idea is some sometimes we just need some straight lines. Sometimes just something as simple as this really tames a complex piecing design, really calms it down, and it keeps the focus on simple texture. It doesn't overwhelm the quilt. It's a really, really good choice. I know there's a quilt, I call it Jellytown, the Jellytown quilt. It is in our Walking Foot quilting book, and I did a super spiral on it, but it could easily have been quilted with 4 square and it would look great. So as you can see, this is a design. Yes, you could grab rulers. You could be really, really perfect with it and stitch each line perfectly evenly spaced, but you can also stitch freehand. It's not going to be 100% perfect. Your lines might wibble wobble a little bit here and there, but overall it's gonna look great. So that is it for 4 square. As you can see, my little mistake there really stands out. I think I'm gonna pick that out just so that way you can really see this pretty effect. I love how those angles come together. There's something magical about that, I think. Anyway, if you'd like to find more designs to stitch along with me, come and check out my website, leahday.com/FMQ. You can find lots and lots of designs, literally hundreds of designs stitched on a home sewing machine, quite a few stitched on a long arm. So come and check it out, leahday.com/FMQ. Until next time, let's go quilt.